I love this quote in the Nag Hammadi Library's Peter's letter to Philip. It goes, the archons are fighting against the inner man. They are this, that's what they want to do. They don't want us to know our true selves, our authentic selves, ourselves with the higher mission of Sophia's rescue operation. So they're always within us working to screw us over. There's always a little archon on your shoulder, if you would. A couple of other quotes, which I think gets to the central core of Gnostic belief. One is from the Gospel of Philip, and it goes, ignorance is the mother of all evil. Ignorance will result in death, because those who come from ignorance neither were, nor are, nor shall be. Talk about being memory wiped or reality wiped in all your incarnations. The next quote goes, also from the Gospel of Philip, ignorance masters us. We are its slaves. It takes us captive to make us do what we do not want. And what we do not want, we do not do. It is powerful because we have not recognized it. While it exists, it is active. Whew. So that's serious. It's almost like an archon, and it is. In the secret book of John, it's called Agnoia, sometimes described as the wife of the demiurge, if you would. And that's the central thesis of the Gnostics. Civilizations come and go, ethics come and go. There is a relativity to it, except maybe for the golden rule, which is great. But ignorance is the greatest of all the sins, the hamartia. The fact that we do not know that we've been fooled. We do not know that we house a shard of infinity within us. We do not know that we have so much potential, that we are more than our meat sacks, and that we don't do anything about it. We don't ask the hard questions. We don't make the difficult decisions and go to the right places. Happy heresies and welcome to the desert of the real. Welcome everybody to Aeon Byte. I hope you like that little intro. It's actually a clip from my recent exclusive member presentation on the Gnostic view of evil in the book of Enoch. And I think this strikes at the core of what Gnosticism is, and also their descendants, or their probably more like their originators, the Mandians. To the Gnostics, ignorance isn't bliss, it is a prison. It's what keeps us in the kenoma, the emptiness of the material world, or the Mandians might call it the Tibble, here trapped, although I believe the Mandians don't see Sophia in a very good light, if you would. But here we are, and getting rid of our ignorance so that we can see the world as it is and see ourselves as we truly are. And you do that by coming to Aeon Byte, where you get the exclusive Gnostic insights that you won't find anywhere else on the internet, and that content that even AI can't grab, as I put more and more behind the gates, behind paywalls, because I'm tired of the diluting, and I'm tired of the corruption that these forces are doing to my work and the people who do a lot of hard work out there with true scholarship and true inspirational work. My name is Miguel Connor, and I am your Pompatus of Gnosis, that madman across the waters of creation, that smell of colitas rising through the air of a world gone mad, and that has summoned the war pigs. But here we are in these Gnostic times, this Philip K. Dick world, and this age of Hermes. And today we are certainly gonna find some incredible truths, and as I say, our guest will he'll make sparks fly, but he'll also make divine sparks fly too. So I am very excited to have a great scholar, someone I consider a good friend, and just a good man in general, and that is Ray Taylor. Ray, thanks for coming back.
Oh, no problem, Miguel. Anytime. I enjoy it. I tell you, it's a privilege.
Privilege is all ours, and with us too, another good friend, and that is Graham Pong. Graham, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good today. I was going to say, I tend to think of it, I'm stuck on Steeler's wheel. Clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right, stuck in the middle with you.
Yeah, those clowns are active today, that's for sure. Good Lord. Lord have mercy. So awesome. Well, I already see a very good crowd for those of you who are catching us live. This is an open podcast. We will have some paywall ones coming up soon, including Anunnaki Revelation and other incredible shows coming up next week. So, here, if you have a question for Ray or you are a member, well, if you have a question, if you're a member, we'll get to it. But anybody else, please super chat them so we can separate them from the din of the crowd. And yeah, not much else on housekeeping. I would say that for all AB Prime members, we will soon be changing the password on the private RSS feed. So that'll probably happen in the next 2 weeks. So if you're using a podcast provider to access a full show and it doesn't work, check out the password at the website or just message my ass and I'll give you the new password. So that's coming up soon. Other than that, let's get started. But before we get started, of course, we are having, like I said, the war pigs are busy and they're coming with their usual tactics. As the Persians say, evil always turns stupid. And they are really stupid today with the same old propaganda and tricks and misdirection and false flags and attempts at divide and conquer. Also, they can create their satanic, vampiric draining of our collective souls and the world itself. So it's terrible. So, I mean, I could talk all day, but I wanted to ask you, Ray. You are a vet. You've been in the belly of the beast. What do you think of all this shenanigans? Just same old bullshit, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I protested the Iraq war in 2002, I think it is, and I'm protesting this war. It's ridiculous. All we do is go to war to fight for Israel, and I wonder what they have on Trump.
I think they're all vessels of some power. Sometimes you just gotta. It's almost like you have to believe something supernatural because when you're this self-destructive, Ray, when you know it's just going to bring untold suffering to millions of people and destroying nations and destroying the environment, you got to say maybe it is satanic, right, or archonic. It's bizarre.
It is. It's they just murdered. I mean, the genocide is terrible. I mean, I went and protested that in Richmond, and still am.
Yeah,
it's something else. What do you think, Graham?
Oh, I personally think they let loose the worst dog of war, Wag the dog.
Yeah, so yeah, let's fight for the little men, those who are victims in this, and keep them in our thoughts because nothing good will come about it. And like you, Ray, I've always been very anti-war. I mean, just
senseless.
Yeah, it is. But
we didn't need another blood sacrifice.
Yeah, they do that a lot. As Graham did in our presentation a few days ago, even the Charlie Kirk thing and others are obviously all have the bells and whistles and features of sacrifice, human sacrifice. And that's what we want to get into, Ray, because your work in your Substack and YouTube, Wise as Serpents, has really uncovered a lot. You're doing a lot of scholarly research. You're telling people peer review it, challenge it. This is the data. You know, it's not like you started with a bias or your bias was over here. And as you followed the data, it took you over here. But your work is, of course, against all the sort of sacrificial Abrahamic religions. But why don't we start at the beginning and then I can throw you we can put up some slides for the audience to see. But what we have here is there's a primordial people that you call the river people. From the age of Plato, he knew about them before. This is the primordial religion of that era. And this is what's been covered up for those who use their power, because they are very powerful. But for the audience, who are the river people?
The river people are the Nazareans, and they believe they get in the river and they're communicating with the great life, and most of the time they did initiations, and they had they never really used names. They used titles, like Simon is a title. it's Shimon. It means the one who hears. And it's in the Mandian text, the one who hears and the one who stands. So Simon's considered the one who stands. Jesus Christ it's just Joshua is the name. It means Jehovah for Yahweh.
No.
Yeah, and it saves. And the Mandians, they don't follow that. They think that he's a hollow son and has no wisdom. But the Nazareans, they like John the Baptist is a Nazarene, and he was initiating Jesus or Simon. And I think it's been hidden for long enough that that Simon is Jesus or is the character. And they rewrote him because they couldn't control him. Rome needed a religion that they could unify the people behind, and the river movement wasn't good. It wasn't good for them. It created autonomy. It created if you wouldn't need a priest, you wouldn't need a church. All you need to do is get in the river and wash off the ignorance. That's the
That's it.
yeah, that's
See
the main
great
thing.
light.
Yeah, because if you can also, all rivers flow to the sea, and the sea is judgment, and all the ignorance washes off of you and goes to the abyss. That's what I can't say 100%, but it's a theory. And that's why when Jesus Simon casted out demons, they didn't want to go back to the abyss, the ignorance. And he was just casting ignorance out of people. And we need to cast ignorance out of people today. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, if we can have direct communion with the great life in the river, why not get in the river? That's how I see it.
So simple, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
but people might say, when you just get in the river, are there any prayers, incantations? Is it an attitude? What can people do? I know you've talked to me, and I'm talking to you, like, Miguel, just go to a river and jump in a river. Like the talking heads, take me to the river.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about it is they have a lot of prayers in the Ginza and the Quista, and there are ways to do it, I guess. I don't know what kind of ceremony I've yet to do it that way. I want to do it that way when the weather warms up. But I think that people need they need things, and they need reassurances, and it's not based upon faith. It's based upon action. It's a participatory, like Paul the Apostle. I believe he's Simon too. I believe that they just rewrote Simon's letters, Simon's great declaration. And Paul talks about a participatory, about, I believe it's in Romans. He said, you're baptized into his death, you're baptized into his burial, and you're baptized to his resurrection. And the original is in the Mandian text. In the Nazarene text, you die in the river, you're buried in the river, and you resurrect. So if that was there prior to the gospel story or the Roman cross or the Starus, then that takes precedence over the cross. So if it's participatory and everyone can get in the river and die in the river and get buried in the river and get resurrected in the river, that shows a lot there. That's and the Mandaeans, they have this where you can get in the river with other people and become one body too. And Paul talks about that, the body of Christ. Mm-hmm. And if Christ dwells in you, let's call it a fragment like you're talking about, or a spark, then you nourish that spark. And Jesus talked about it, or the character of Jesus talked about spreading the seeds. And some fell in rocky ground, some fell in good soil. But when something falls in soil, what do you need? The water of life. And that's what he talked about too. You have to water it. So getting in the river causes you to produce fruit. And in the river, it's the great life can prune you, cut off the bad leaves, cut off the ignorance, and let it roll away from you. And that's kind of beautiful in a weird way.
It really is. And basically, you had all these social engineers, the Hasmoneans, the Greek philosophers, emperors, Romans. They were like, oh, this shit is too powerful, man. We can't we can't have a civilization. Everybody's walking around awake. How do we control the sheep? So we're going to go on the sacrificial route, right? Death, blood, all that stuff to create our civilized world.
Well, I mean, in the Gospels, Jesus never talked about dying or resurrecting. That was later attributed to him after they said he was dead or whatever. But Simon said he suffered in Judea in the polemics. I mean, these people don't realize what they wrote, that you can follow their trail. They also wrote that Simon said, "Kill me, and I'll be raised in 3 days." I mean, that they actually say that. That's in Hippolytus, I believe, and that's very interesting. He said that, and he lived. The weird thing about it is he's the same age as Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And in Luke chapter 4:31, it says that Jesus descended. The word is descended into Capernaum, the same way that Simon was said to descend in Capernaum. Even Marcion said that. He said that Jesus, or the figure, descended. He wasn't born. He doesn't. Then the birth narratives and the genealogies are completely fake. Most scholars agree on that.
Yeah, hold on. I have it. I think I have it right here. Where is it? I want to put this one at the stage. Wonder why it's not working. Let's try this again. Ah, there it is. Okay, now I just got to get the rat block. But here you have it. I'll scroll up for those of you who want to geek out. That's what Ray sent me. K-tail then. The clear pronunciation. Some scholars see Luke 4:31 functioning like an epiphany moment rather than just travel geography. So K-tail means he descended into Capernaum or Capernaum. So it's almost like he just fell down like Superman, right? He's like Simon, who just appears.
Well, they believe Simon was a Uthra type person, or a prophet of the river that John the Baptist called for when he cried out in the wilderness. So they believe that, and the Mandians understand this. So he's not God, but he's a representation of God, or of the great life, 100%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Justin Martyr describes Simon appearing among the Samaritans as a manifestation of divine power, a divine power that has come among humans. The same descent motif appears again and again in ancient epiphany language. So you have two interesting narrative openings. Luke's ministry narrative begins with a descent into Capernaum. Simon's description says the great power descended among people. Both use the same root to come down. So I think it's fascinating. There's again, could this be the same figure or different figure? But whatever it is a movement beyond what we've told. These sort of these emanations of the great light.
Yep.
And I got a quick question here, Ray. When I see descent like this, what immediately pops into my head is a possibility of a Merkaba tie-in, because so many people think Merkabas were used to ascend, but they were actually a descent technology. I was going to say, I didn't know if has that occurred to you, or have you found any connections between this descent and Merkabas? Ag.
No, I haven't really researched that yet, but I'll look into it. That's a good point. I've not thought of that.
Yeah, it's there. It just keep digging in. For the audience, Graham has done some great presentations on the channel on the social engineering that the Greeks and Hasmoneans did with what we know as Second Temple Judaism. And again, it's becoming more mainstream. I mean, it's out there. You can look at the work of Niall at Gnostic Informant. It's not controversial. As I always say, all religions start with a noble lie. They're cosplaying. As Joseph Campbell said, religion is myth misunderstood. The myths behind it, the true myths behind the founding of any religion, that's where the gold is. That's where the insights and beauty and inspiration and transformation are. Of course, if exoteric religions do it for you and transform you, of course, you do you, as long as it works and as long as you're not trying to suppress the rights and lives of other sentient beings. So, but That's my high horse. Let me get off my high Merkabah chariot, or whatever you want to call it. So, anything else, Ray, or do you want me to pull up some of these slides for us?
Well, can I touch on one thing real quick?
Of course, of course.
I was doing a video the other day. I've been doing research in the D. Baptist mate. Did you, if you have that in the slides, I don't know. Simon was said in a polemic to baptize in the river with fire. Okay, his group, his Simonians. John the Baptist said, "The one will come behind me will baptize you with the Holy Spirit," and it was said fire. So if Simon was actually baptizing in the river with fire appearing on top of the water, that's a real baptism, unlike a house in Pentecost. You're staying in a house and tongues come down. He said, "The one that will come after me will baptize you with fire and the Holy Spirit." Simon did that. That's really interesting.
It is interesting. So, yeah, like I said, the more you dig in, the more incredible insights you find and send me. All roads lead to Simon Magus, that's for sure. And can we say that the Mandians also dig Simon? Which I really didn't know until recently. I always thought it was John the Baptist was a prophet or a messenger of Utah. Jesus was sort of this wayward rebel, but Simon Magus, yeah.
I'll go out on a limb and just say this, that they didn't want to talk about this. I get a little pushback from them, like I had today, because they want to be known as the Sabians, people of the book. And if they say Simon Magus is Jesus, then that puts them at odds with Christians. And at this point in time, it pushes them at odds with Israelis, because they need to design this narrative to continue the war. And they are there in Iran, different places, and they're if they
went in Iran,
and if they walked around saying this, it might be maybe a little detrimental to them. You see, it might be harmful. So I don't want to put them at risk or anything, and they didn't tell me that. So I want to let you know that they're good people. I'm fond of them, and they're very honest, except when they're being secretive.
They have to for the sake of survival. Yeah, it's terrible. Hopefully nothing happens. I mean, I hate it. I don't want to see any Mandian or citizen of Iran or citizen of Israel, the common people that have no choice. They're just trying to live their lives regardless of their religion or anything. It's the common people just trying to do the best they can in these with that wickedness in high places, as Paul talks about. Just anyway, let me pull up the slides here, and we will get started. I gotta get all right, let's add to stage. The Empire of Lies, and again, this is based on Ray's excellent Wisest Serpent Substack. So much great content that he keeps publishing. I call The Empire of Lies the Abrahamic cover-up of Jesus. A 6-part investigation of Ray Taylor, PhD, peeling back 2,000 years of imperial and rabbinical deception to reveal the Mandian roots of Jesus of Nazareth. So we will go to the second one. And I will read that because a lot of you are listening or will be listening in audio only. The Forgotten Witnesses. Hold on one second. I'm sorry, guys. I have to take the comments out on the screen, and then I will put them back on so that I can read this, and you can read it too. History is written by the winners. Some won, the rabbis won, the church won, and in their victory, they buried the one people who carried the truth of who Jesus really was, the Mandians, the last living Gnostics. Driven nearly to extinction, surviving in the marshes of southern Iraq, their sacred book, the Ginza Rabbah, preserves a cosmology older than Christianity itself, and probably thousands of years. Their priests still perform baptism in flowing rivers, not once but continually. The Mandians honor John the Baptist as their greatest prophet and remember Jesus as a figure whose image was stolen and remade by Rome. Anything on that? But I mean, the Mandians also have other prophets, Adam, and they have a whole lineage, right?
Yeah, they do. But, well, not really a whole lineage. They kind of discount a lot of other people. But Yeah, Adam was one. Yeah, that most certainly.
Mm-hmm. And John the Baptist was one. As we're
He's
finding out.
John the Great. He's the greatest prophet.
Okay, John the Great. Yeah. And let's see, where's the next slide here? Slide 3. Chapter 1. A Mandian teacher, not a Jewish Messiah. Christianity as we know it is a Roman invention. Paul hijacked the movement, or whoever was behind the figure of Paul, and turned it into a theology of blood sacrifice and submission to empire. But behind the noise is a simpler, older truth. And here are the 3 truths. The rejection of the temple. Jesus clashed with Pharisees, Sadducees, and temple law because he was not their Messiah. He spoke light, spirit, and rebirth, not Torah, sacrifice, and land. Second is the language of the Ginza Rabbah. When Jesus says, you must be born again in water and spirit, he speaks Mandian. When he says God is spirit and not bound to Jerusalem, he rejects Yahweh, just as the Mandians do. Third is a revealer of gnosis. He was a Nazarene, a revealer of gnosis, a voice from the tradition of John and the Mandians, a teacher of the world of light, not a son of David, not a Jewish king. Shall we continue? Anything you want to comment on this, Ray?
Now you're doing really good.
Awesome. Here I am with my voiceover. Yes, if anybody's looking for voiceover work, please let me know. I could certainly use the work because, yes, AI has taken a lot of my voiceover work. And, well, here we are, 2026. Before we go to chapter 2, Graham, do you have a question? Are you getting our flow?
Oh, no, definitely. It's my approach has always been my big crunch point for Christianity is Constantine and the blunder that was Nicaea. And anything that happened before that, we're just trying to piece together things from the scraps that are left to us. And I'm also the many Jesuses, one Christ sort of approach, like Schleiermacher back in the day. So Ray, I appreciate Ray's exploration. He does a fabulous job, and he is digging up material nobody else is. And
he really is. You're going where no man has gone before, Ray.
And I appreciate anybody who does that, even if they disagree with each other. Keep going, Ray.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Chapter 2, the cosmology of light and darkness. To understand who Jesus really was, you must understand the Mandian worldview, a complete system explaining the human condition, the nature of evil, and the path of salvation. We have 4. One is Rabbi, the great life, not Yahweh, not a jealous desert god, an eternal boundless ocean of light and wisdom, the true source of all being. Number 2, Tibble, darkness. The material world is a prison. Human beings are sparks of the great light trapped in flesh, ruled by Ruha or Sophia, she's the bad guy, and the archons, false gods who chain souls in ignorance. 3 is Mazbuta, repeated baptism, living, flowing rivers, not a one-time rite, but a constant cleansing, reconnecting the soul to the world of light. 3 is Masikta, and sorry if I'm butchering the name, Mandians out there, I apologize deeply. Rituals of passage guiding the soul upward after death, past hostile dark powers toward reunion with the heavenly twin, the Dimuta in the world of light. So, and of course, again, even though your work is showing Jesus had a role, I think you're still working on who exactly was Jesus. I think one of the things we're all going to do to the end of our lives. But to be clear, the Mandians, he's still a sort of a wayward rebel, right? He's not.
He's not.
They're not going to own him.
They don't like his name, and they think that he's a bad person. He's a deceiver. Well, I don't think they think he is a person. I think that they are mad that. Well, I don't think they can actually say it. I think if they said it out loud, they would be in trouble.
Yeah. Well, we can safely say they don't like the Roman Jesus that came to rule the world.
Well, no, because they believe that the temple YHWH is a demon.
Okay. Makes sense. Chapter 3, John the Baptist or John the Great and the True Path. Every gospel writer struggles with John. They cannot erase him. His influence was too great, but they cannot allow him to outshine Jesus. So they twist him into a mere forerunner. That subordination is fiction. In the Mandian traditions, John, Yahya, is not the warm-up act. He is the prophet, the revealer, the true teacher of light. His baptisms were acts of cosmic significance, immersion in flowing water, symbolizing the eternal life that flows from the great life. And I think this quote from you: if Jesus was the eternal Son of God, why would he need John's baptism? Yeah, people have asked that. The Christian answer is incoherent. The truth: Jesus was a follower of John, and perhaps Simon Magus. If we go by the Clementine literature, John had this group, including Ellen and all these other figures of these very incredible magicians and mystics.
If you read the Panarin, which is written by Epiphanius, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dosithius starts to run the river movement, right? And he tries to challenge Simon. Well, he went over to challenge Simon, and he tried to hit him with a stick, and the stick went right through Simon's body. Right. And he said, "No, I'm the leader." So he just took it from Dosithius and walked away and took the river movement, which is really fascinating that they actually recorded that. It's a polemic against Simon because they wanted to say he was a Dosithius, that he was just spirit. Right. So he couldn't have died on a cross, so he couldn't be Jesus. But what they did was actually prove something completely what they didn't want.
Yeah, it's great. And you think of social engineering, like me. I remember as a kid, my parents, we'd watch the Jesus of Nazareth, the series where Jesus doesn't blink. He's got the blue eyes. Zeffirelli's Jesus. And of course, you've got, was it Michael London as John the Baptist, some guy in like fur, who dirty face. He's like some, hippie out in the wilderness eating bugs. So they really like demoted him to some like Enkidu or something. You know what I mean? Grizzly Adams.
And the strangest thing about that is Jesus said he was the greatest man ever born of woman. Mm-hmm. In the Bible. I mean, he says he's the greatest man ever born of woman.
It is. It's amazing how the programming goes, and very successful.
Yep.
All right, we know chapter 4, the Mandian language of light. Strip away, and some of these are direct from Ray. You're a great writer. You just get to the point, very without messing around. Strip away the gospel propaganda and listen closely. The words attributed to Jesus are not those of a Jewish rabbi. They are the voice of a Gnostic teacher speaking the symbolic language of the Mandians. And we have 3 examples. The sower parable. Seeds, soil, fruit, not Jewish images. In the Ginza Rabbah, the soul is a seed. Wisdom is planted in good soil. This is Mandian cosmology, not Torah. Light of the world. No one lights a lamp and hides it. The soul remembering its origin in the world of light, a Mandian image, not a messianic prophecy. Living water. Well, that's an obvious one. Whoever drinks of this water will never thirst. This is Mazbuta language, Mandian baptismal theology, not Jewish temple ritual. So yes, but didn't the Jews have baptism though? Even Second Temple Jews, something? No? Oh, okay.
They had mikvahs. Mikvah was a purification bath in stagnant water. They didn't use flowing water.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. Chapter 5, the great betrayal, Rome. Paul never met Jesus. What Paul, and again, or the construct that they gave us who became Paul, he had visions, psychological breakdowns dressed in revelations. Sounds like me. Yet his letters are the oldest surviving Christian documents. He transformed Jesus from a Mandian teacher of Gnosis into a cosmic blood sacrificing, appeasing Yahweh's wrath. 2, Rome saw the usefulness. A Gnostic Jesus threatened the empire, but a Jesus who died quietly and rose to save people from sin, that Jesus could pacify the masses, bind them to a church bound to empire, and sanctify Rome. I'm glad my wife is not in the room. Anyway, 3, total betrayal. John was subordinated. Baptism was emptied of power. The Mandians were demonized as heretics. Jesus was rewritten as a Jewish Messiah and as a Roman Savior endorsing obedience. So here we are, and we wonder why we have so many wars, people. Let's go to the next slide, unless you have something to say, Ray.
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
All right, I will continue, and yeah, interrupt me if you want. Why this matters. Christian Zionism. The modern state of Israel claims legitimacy on biblical myths. Christian Zionists pour billions into supporting it, believing Jesus was a Jewish Messiah whose return depends on prophecy. Without the lie that Jesus was Jewish, Christian Zionism collapses. Paul's false gospel. The church still peddles submission, render unto Caesar. They baptize war, sanctify politicians, and tell the poor to wait for heaven, preaching sin and guilt, not light and knowledge. The Mandians are still here. Against every attempt to exterminate them, they baptize in rivers, chant the Ginza Rabbah, and remember John as the true prophet. Their very existence is a living refutation of Christianity and Judaism. Empire has not changed. The same playbook Rome used, manufacturing myths, rewrite history, turn liberators into idols of submission, is being used today. The false Jesus of Paul and Rome remains their greatest weapon. The choice: keep bowing to the counterfeit Christ of empire, or see Jesus for what he was, a Mandian teacher of light who rejected the temple, the law, and Yahweh's petty kingdom. What do you think so far, Graham? Everything kosher to you?
Oh, it's very interesting stuff. I'm trying to, integrate it with a lot of my theories where, I don't know if Ray's coming with it. The Mandians were a different sect of, Judaism, kind of separate from Second Temple. It kind of sounds like that's part of where he's going with this. But, there's another part that it almost sounds like they're kind of like part Zoroastrian. And, like I said, just trying to fit the ideas in together. And he's done great work, and he's just trying to put his work into my larger context. I'm interested, always interested to, what do you think, Ray? Can you help me?
Yeah, the anthropology of the Mandians, where they started.
Well, I don't think that their Second Temple Judaism they have nothing to do with it. They reject it, and they reject Gerizim too. The Samaritans, they reject Yahweh completely. I did try to match him up with El and Asherah, but I'm unable to do at this point. Mm-hmm. But I do believe that that before the Seleucid Empire, I can track the all the way to Göbekli Tepe, and I'm working on that right now. They did ritual immersions and baptisms at Göbekli Tepe.
Okay, because my current working theory is that Second Temple Judaism was a product of the Hasmonean era, and you really didn't have Judaism in that area prior to that. It was militarily imposed by force onto the population.
It was.
So
you're exactly right.
And that's where, a lot of what you're saying is, it sounds similar to Judaism. So it's like, I'm trying to see where it almost sounds like they may have diverged at one point and unified. I'm just trying to figure out the relationship between the two.
My theory is another one I've been writing is on the empire. The Seleucid Empire created Judaism. And because the whole Old Testament is nothing but ancient Greek myth.
No, I understand that. And I don't know if you heard my theory on it, which is I'm pretty settled into this one. And it's the idea that the Hasmoneans and Maccabees were the rump of the Carthaginians after the Punic Wars.
That's
and for me, that would explain why, the whole Jewish Roman hostility was just so virulent, and why, Judaizing would have been such a capital offense in the first century Rome, because it still carried over that taint of being Carthaginian sort of concept. And that's part of my working model. How does that sync up with you, Ray?
That's great. I mean, I'm definitely gonna look into that. If you have something, will you send it to me so I can read it?
Oh, absolutely. I did a presentation with Miguel, a year ago or so on that. So yeah.
I'll look
Yeah, I
that
can
up and
send you
watch
the
that.
link.
Yeah. And that's very good. That's awesome. I mean, I respect that. I like to get into that and maybe talk with you about it. That's so we can I can hone everything I'm doing.
Oh no, that's my approach here. Where, like I was saying, it's all ends against the middle. I appreciate whatever anybody can dig up and bring to the table in order to try to figure out this jigsaw puzzle, because we're still trying to figure out what even the picture on the top of the box looks like at this point. Okay.
We are early stages, people. Right? Early stages. Even Ray, I think Ray's only about probably 10%. Same with Graham. All right, the next slide. Hidden baptisms. How the church buried Jesus' Mandian roots and turned Simon Magus into Paul. Of course, I will say yes. I think Simon Magus and Paul are the same figure. For Jesus, I still have two arguments: mythicist, or he was some magician. The Nazrim, he was part of an order with Simon. Those are my 2-1, and it kind of fluctuates. But your mileage may vary. How the church buried Jesus' Mandian roots and turned Simon Magus into Paul. What if the greatest cover up in religious history is not about crucifixion or a resurrection, but baptism? What if Paul was nothing more than Simon Magus with a haircut and a press agent? Simon Magus in drag. And as Ray, quoting directly Ray, the scandal is not that Jesus died, is that they killed the river and replaced it with a book. I think that's beautiful. Yes. The answer is that, take me to the river, people. Yeah, you can take a cold shower, it'll help your life, but no, go down into the river and baptize yourself. You have the power, like Captain Planet. All right, Simon Magus equals Paul, the smoking gun. Same name, same figure. Paul means small. Simon Magus is called the small one in Samaritan lore. Two faces of the same figure. The editors of Acts destroyed Simon's name to make room for Paul's fame. Ellen or Elena equals the woman at the well. The Samaritan woman at the well is Elena, Simon's consort, recast as a repentant sinner. Sound familiar? The living water she draws is the Mandian secret of life, Mazbuta language, not metaphor. Paul's letters equals Gnostic sermons. Powers and principalities, a cosmic Christ, freedom from the law. Paul's letters, stripped of Judaizing additions, read like rewrites of Gnostic sermons. Every line that glows with light screams Simon. The cover-up. The church panicked. They made Jesus Jewish and Paul kosher to survive under Roman power. They buried the water under theology, the light under Latin, and turned the baptizer into a footnote. So yes, all roads lead to Simon. And of course, Paul was certainly exposing Gnostic theology. Just look at the work of David Bentley Hart, who's Greek Orthodox, and he would agree with Paul and his idea of his battle against the archons. Not Paul, Christ and his battle against the archons. Jesus the magician, Simon Magus, and the mythic past of Judaism, restoring Jesus to his world. Morton Smith, Jesus the Magician, still one of my favorite books. It's just, I think it's amazing, and I think it's making a comeback. Drew Oddich, but in the 1st century, Magus was not an insult. It means healer, teacher of mysteries, revealer of divine power. Simon Magus, John the Baptist, and Jesus all belong to that world of wandering teachers. And you also, don't you write too that they were walking around with magic wands, Harry Potter wands?
Well, there's the earliest depiction of Jesus as a Roman when they had him with his hair cut and he was dressed in Roman garbage. He had a magic wand. Yes.
So the wand was something that it was like a transfer of power, or what was the use?
That's what I conclude. Yes, a transfer of power. It's really weird, and if I'm going to bring it up, it's strange. But what I've been looking at these magic wands, they were actually bull penises. I mean, I know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't understand why they would use the bull penis as a magic wand, but maybe you know.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the symbol. Obviously, the bull, Taurus. What kind of god might be associated with virility? I mean, we drink Red Bull, right?
Yeah. And we also have obelisks, right? In the ancient days, they thought obelisk in Egypt was a bull penis. People said, "Oh, you're crazy. You're not telling the truth." Well, I mean, you need to research it further, and you'll figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
We have them in
the
the
thought that
ahead,
pops into my head is a male-female divide, because so often bull's testicles were sacrificed to the goddess. So I can see the idea that the males might be using the bull, the bull penis as the wand. It's sort of a complimentary manner. Again, I'm just throwing spaghetti at the wall to see if something sticks with you guys. Tag.
Mm-hmm. Well, it does. Do you think it's kind of funny that down in the financial district of London, there's a obelisk. There's one in D.C. and there's one in the Vatican, right in the middle of a Vesica Piscia, which is in a vagina. So it's a penis and a vagina together. Strange, isn't it?
Yeah.
I go once as happenstance, twice as coincidence, 3 times as enemy action.
Yes.
Well said. Yeah, we know what the animal is there on Wall Street, ruling everybody.
Speaking of Wall Street, don't they have a big red, bull, golden bull down there?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Yeah. So, and yeah, of course. Well, I think Mithra slays the cosmic bull. That could be something to it. Who knows? Yeah, we'll just have to keep throwing spaghetti at the wall, as Graham said. Judaism, Israel.
At this point, we can say it's all a bunch of bull. Tag.
Glad we got a pun before the show's over. Okay, Judaism, Israel, and the mythic past. What Jew actually means. The word Jew originally means someone from Yehud or Judea, not adherents to a unified religion. In the 1st century, the region contained Greeks, Samaritans, Mandians, and Canaanites. Rabbinical Judaism took shape only after the 2nd century CE, and it's true. Judaism was a very fluid religion. There were many sects, there were many groups. They followed different theologies. Some worshipped Isis, some had very mystic. It was a very fluid religion, just like today. Just in the United States, there's like 30,000 denominations of Christianity. There was a lot of different divergence. They were never this unified religion, because that's not how religions work. The patriarchs as literary characters. Moses is Sargon reborn. The Merneptah Stele refers to Jezreel, not Israel. The Pentateuch was a political document, not divine revelation. Jesus did not belong to that cult. Simon cosmology. Hippolytus records Simon teaching emanations from the boundless power. Soul journeys past planetary spheres, identical to the Ginza Rabbah. Mary Magdalene, called Maria in Mandian texts, likely freed from 7 planetary powers. Agreed 100%. Her true role was obscured by later editors. The real heresy. To call Jesus a magician restores him to his world. A healer and revealer, not a temple sacrifice. The real heresy is blind belief in fabricated stories. Yes, the real heresy, the sin is ignorance, not seeing the truth and not continually digging for more truths and collecting more data. That's what's killing humanity and what's killing this civilization right now. The truth is not the cross, it is in the current. Jesus was the light of the great life. A Mandian teacher of Gnosis, never a Jew in the rabbinical sense, never a Roman savior. His words only make sense inside the Mandian cosmology of light, water, and the soul's return. Simon was his twin in knowledge. Paul was a cover story. The church fathers were not defenders of truth. They were cleaners at a crime scene. The fingerprints are all over the gospel, acts, and letters. The Mandians never forgot. No, we have an unbroken lineage going thousands of years. The river still flows. The baptisms are still performed. Their memory of John and Jesus still shines like a sword cutting through centuries of deception. And now, neither should we. So that's the slides, and that's a beautiful, beautiful way of ending this little mini presentation. Anything else you want to add to this, Ray?
Well, I want to thank my friend Thomas L. Thompson. I met him back in the 80s. And when I was first attending school. And he's up in age right now, and he's over in Copenhagen. And if he watches this video, I want to tell him thank you for telling me to look further and never stop and never believe their bullshit. That's what he used to say. Don't believe their bullshit. They condemned him. They said he was terrible. They made him clean floors as a janitor when he's a doctor. And they rejected everything he said as minimalist theories. And guess what? Today, they're not rejecting them.
What were some of his theories that they rejected?
The biblical minimalism. Moses didn't exist. Abraham, it was all made up by the Seleucid Empire. I concur with him 100%. It was all Judaism's a construct, like Graham said. But I see it all the way going back to the Seleucid Empire and forced circumcisions. They went around. They couldn't use a bunch of peasant farmers in an army, and they had to galvanize them. And they galvanized them with this religion that they created in Alexandria. And I don't believe there was ever a Hebrew Torah, period. I believe it was all written in Greek. And they burned the Library of Alexandria, so we'll never know the truth. They destroyed everything they could in order to hide and cover up and rewrite history. And when you do that, that's extremely dishonest. And I don't think they cared, period.
Mm-hmm. No, they don't care. So you think the Septuagint is the original?
Yes, it is the original. Dr. Amon Hillman, a lot of people don't like Dr. Hillman. I think he's a fantastic person. He said that he says it too. He agrees. I mean, there's 8,000 words in Hebrew, and there's millions of words in Greek. I mean, how would you have and the stuff that they recreated is a bunch of Yiddish, German nonsense they speak in Israel. It's just garbage. I'm sorry. I just said garbage about that. I'm not attacking a people.
No,
okay.
People
I'm attacking.
I'm
I'm attacking a government. The Jewish people are fine people. I have nothing against them, period. Just because I said the religion's myth, I'm not trying to talk about them in a negative
light.
Every
religion is myth.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. And it's like this. But Tommy was a good guy. He still is. He's still alive. He's up in his 80s. I wanted him to come on the show today, and maybe we'll get him to come on the show in the future. Sure. I've been trying to. And but when I met him years ago, he was very I don't know what word you want to call it. Diligent. That would be the word, diligent. Mm-hmm. And I spoke with him just briefly the first time, and then I met him the second time, and he went over what he believed, what he thought, and what he showed me in his scholarship and his work. And he handed me a book. He said, read this and keep going. Don't stop. Don't be like one of those stuffed shirts. He said, you can put a bow tie on and go around and be gatekeepers of scholars, right? Because they're scared of everything. And I said, I don't care if they're scared, brother. I said, they can kiss my ass, their tongue out. And I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to keep pushing it as hard as I can. Not that I hate people or dislike them, and I'm not negative, and I don't need to do any damn shadow work. What I want is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. That's it. I'm not here to pretend that I'm the greatest person in the world. I'm not. I'm just a guy who really, really, really won't settle for anything less than the truth. That's it.
Amen to that, for sure. I mean, something like Moses not existing, that's pretty much mainstream today. It might have been controversial. So, but that's what you see, right? Academia, even beyond the conspiracy theory or whatever real truths out there, they just don't want to change. What did Graham say? Change in academia is one death at a time. They don't want to let the younger generation or the radicals in, because they got their tenure and their speaking engagements, the safety stuff. So they keep the radical out, which later becomes mainstream.
It's a cash game.
Plain and simple, huh?
Yeah, it's a cash game. I mean, you need money. I mean, we all need money to get by, unfortunately. And people will say anything for cash. And well, I shouldn't say that they have no integrity, but they lack it in certain areas. But I'm not saying bad things about scholars. They're very great scholars. Bruce Metzger, for one, which Bart followed, right? Mm-hmm. Bart came in the 80s. I believe it was 88 in UNC. I was already attending UNC. And Bruce Metzger was up north. I can't remember, Princeton, I think. And I went to Metzger seminar to listen to him or listen to his lectures. And that's the first time I ever laid my eyes on Bart Ehrman. And he came down and he was evangelical Christian. That's all I really remember. I believe he was working, setting up churches or something for the Assemblies of God. I don't know. I could be wrong, but he was setting things up for them. So he was a little bit he was an associate professor at the time, but now he's a big timer and he wrote a bunch of books and everyone thinks he's the cat's pajamas. He is. I mean, he's a great guy. I mean, it's a really nice fella.
Yeah, I've hung out with him. He's a good guy. He's a fun guy too.
Yeah, he's a great
down
guy.
to earth when you meet him and hang out with him.
Yeah, yeah, he is all right. He's it's kind of like this. When I first went to school, not under Ehrman, but went into the classroom, right? And the professor, oh man, his name is Professor. His name is Lloyd, but I cannot remember his last name for some reason. He said to the whole class, I want you to write about Jesus not being gay. I said, excuse me? Yeah, I mean, what did you just say? He said, I want you to prove that Jesus wasn't gay in a paper. Right? So we went into the class and, you know, we're like, what the hell is he talking about? The guy's a nut. So, you know, of course we wrote the papers. Well, this one girl, she was a Asian girl, very intelligent. She stood, we all go up there in front of the class and read our stuff. He's kind of putting up with it, right? And then she goes up there and says, I can't write a paper because we have no evidence either way. And she got an A+ for that, not even writing the paper. And I thought to myself, man, that really made me think. I mean, what can we actually prove? You understand? And I'm like, wow.
But could you guys go beyond could you go to apocryphal texts like the Gospel of Philip or others where Jesus is hanging out with Mary Magdalene and early romantic Roman and medieval texts?
We could use anything that was available to us. But
that would prove he's not gay if he's, you know, dating Mary Magdalene.
Well, I mean, he could date a woman and still be gay. I mean, he would say that to you, right? And
that is true. Bearding, as they call it.
Right. So what he showed me is, well, we couldn't prove anything.
Right.
I mean, that's the thing he showed us, that you really can't prove anything. It's a hypothesis. It's just a guess, you know, and we can only prove what we can prove. And it really shocked me that I couldn't prove Jesus at the time wasn't gay. And he said, how so? And he taught me a lot. You know, it was that was my first year at UNC, and just an Ehrman, I think, copies him and does things similar with his students too. But he does a good job, and he creates people. What I like about Bart is he creates thinkers. You know, he shows you he doesn't teach you stuff. He shows you how to think, and that's what we all should do. I didn't go to school to become a teacher. I didn't go to school. It was just a natural progression. I kept trying to learn more and more and more and more. They wouldn't give me a doctorate in historicity. I don't know why. So I had to go through a religious study program. But the thing is I don't know, because of different schools, you have Copenhagen and you have this Anglo-Saxon, this school here, and they don't like that because you put a person in a position to argue everything, you know, and dispute, and they don't like that. Well, they do, but they say they do. But then when it comes down to their grants, like you said, and their money and tenure, it changes, because the people that give them money are primarily religious institutions. And I'm not conspiracy theory in here. I'm just saying some of the facts. But I would love to sit down with people and talk to them about this. I would love to go through it. I like to go through it with the Mandians. I wanted the Rishama to come up here with me, but he kind of didn't want to. So, but he is a good guy, great man. And what I like about them is they're very, I would say, honest or sincere. That's the word, sincere, in their beliefs and in their understanding. And they're not into any Jewish law or any of that nonsense, but they just good-hearted. And that's what I like. And getting in the river, I can't wait. So maybe if Miguel comes down, we'll invite a bunch of people. We'll go down to Appomattox River, which is extremely clean, by the way, here in Virginia. Film it, and everyone go in there and see what they can get. You know, we'll use. Hopefully, we can get some stuff. Well, what was that thing that you were talking about? The AEIOU, the vowel thing that they were using at the baptism of Simon, where they saw the fire.
Yeah, I mean the Gnostic. I did a presentation. I need to do another one. The Gnostic texts are full of vowels and the rituals. We got a lot of lacunae and brackets, but like in three stellas of Seth or the Gospel of the Egyptians, you have all these vowels, and people have tried to recreate it, like at Rice University and stuff. So, and of course, scientifically, yeah, going into vowel chanting does bring about a sort of altered state of mind. So, the Sethians were certainly doing it. I mean, again, if they were in Egypt, Ray, sometimes they might not be close to a river. They had to do it unless they wanted to sand baptism or something.
Well, the Nile River, and
the Nile. If they were in Alexandria, they were fine, right?
Yep. I wonder where it goes. I mean, the thing is, what we don't know, and I think that there used to be an old thing with Leonard Nimoy called "In Search of." Do you remember that? Wasn't that a great show when you were a kid?
It was. Loved it. Yeah.
So I was going to call it "In Search of the Real Jesus" or the real. I mean, I have been through it all here. That a lot of the Mandians think Jesus was a construct. Well, two of them think Jesus was a construct of Simon. It was Simon of Samaria who was in Judea. And one more thing: the original Talmud in the terrible with names here, especially when I'm on a camera. The original Talmud, when they talk about the Jesus, they say it's burning in hot excrement. Originally, that Talmud didn't have a name. They added that later. If you go back and research it, you'll see it's just talking about a man who misled the people. It doesn't say a name. It doesn't say Jesus like it does now. Rabbi Jacobson, I believe, I don't know if you know who he is, but if you go back through it and take a look, Rabbi Levine spoke with him, and I managed to get a copy of it. I can't load it up here, but it doesn't say Jesus or Yeshua. It just says a man. Okay, so in the original Talmud, which is really fascinating if you want to think about it, that they don't name the man. So later on they did, but they do not now, or did not have at the beginning. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
That shows you that they're covered layers, scaffolding in layers. That's all that they did. Jesus
Another
appeared.
layer is which Talmud, because you have the Jerusalem Talmud, which Rome heavily tampered with, and the Babylonian Talmud, which was less tampered with.
I believe it was
even have it.
The Babylonian.
Go ahead, Ray. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's a Babylonian Talmud that we were talking about, and I believe it was. They said the Jerusalem Talmud also. I was I cannot remember because I'm really terrible with this. I've got so much on my mind about Simon, and I prepared for this for Simon, but not that. I just had received that 2 days ago, so I was only able to look into it for a couple of days now. And it does not have a name, the original. And if you said the name of it, I would be Manas Tanakh. No, what the hell's the name of that Talmud? I wish I had it in front of me. I could pull it up, but it doesn't say it. So here's the thing. Okay, let's say they did all this, right? What would they do it for? That's the question we were talking about. What do you think they would do this for, Miguel? Just to cover up the truth, or they couldn't control Simon when they couldn't control the river people, because they did in fact label them as pagans under Constantine, and they did try to get rid of them. And Epiphanius went and spoke with the Dosethians and the Simonians. Have you ever read the Panorama?
Yeah, down, and he participated in one of their fun orgies.
And under Origen, if you read it, the river people were protesting. They said that they took the book of John and they rewrote it. And if you take the book of John right now and you translate it back over to Aramaic and you get rid of logos and trade it for water, it flows and makes perfect sense. It doesn't make any sense under logos at all.
Mm.
And it's the radiance, they call it. It's really wild. So if you translate it back, you can actually go to AI. I had to use AI to do it, and I translated it back to Aramaic. And then I took out the logos and added the water, the river, And if you read it, I think I did a post, I did a paper on it. It's on my Substack. Read it. Man, it is awesome. It is so, it's enlightening, really, if you read it. So I think that Irenaeus did do that. And he was the first to publish it really fast. And then later on, they shut him down. They shut the river movement down. But they also shut Origin down, too, by the way. He said everything was an allegory. None of it was true. And people, they don't know that. Like the Christians, they think all these founders or these church fathers, as they call them, were in agreement. They were not in agreement at all.
Augustine thought the whole Hebrew Bible was allegory and symbolic. He thought there's no way this is historical.
That's right. That's right. So did Origen. He thought that Epiphanius he went after the Origen people that were following Origen. Do you remember that? Trying to shut them down and get rid of them.
No.
Yeah, he was a real asshole. And I mean, that's my opinion. And he went after the Sethians, and he just to write polemics. He didn't, but they were complaining to people that their stuff was stolen. They were taking their stuff. And the Simonians, we have only the polemics, about the Simonians. But if you listen to just even the polemics and you read them over and over again, and you try to look them up, and you start realizing that Rome was about war and killing and king making and emperor making, right?
Right.
Jesus was not about that, or Simon, or the character. Let's just call him the individual, because Simon's not a name either. A lot of people think his name is Simon. Simon is Shimon, okay? And Shimon is the one who hears. It's not a name. It's a title. And let's take a look at one thing real fast. Simon Peter, okay? Well, his name was Cephas, Simon Peter. Simon means the one who hears. It's a student. It's one who stands under to listen. And that is, John the Baptist is the highest power and the highest authority, the prophet. So as he's Simon, he's the one who hears. He hears instructions from John the Baptist. That's exactly what that means. So in the Nazarene, he would have been called Simon. Okay. But let's make one more point here. Jesus Christ never gave his name. Who do you say that I am? And they said, John the Baptist. They said, Elijah. They said, what did he say? The Son of God. He didn't say Jesus Christ, Son of God. Simon said he was the great power of the great life. Okay, so he didn't deny it. He said, yeah, it's me. I'm the Son. I'm here representing the great life. But Jesus, the name Jesus is what I think really upsets the Mandaeans, because it means Yahweh saves, or Joshua.
No.
And they think Yahweh's a demon that's connected with Ruha, the dryness. That's what they call it, by the way. Isn't that interesting? The dryness. That's what Ruha brings, dryness.
Really?
Which when you dry out in their minds, in the Nazareans' mind, you start listening to the world or the people around you, and you're influenced by the Ruha, right? And you go in the river to wash off that ignorance every week or whatever. And they consider that dying to themselves in a way, right? And then Paul the Apostle says, I die daily, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. People think that's some kind of like not doing something or refraining from doing something. No, that is river language. That's what you do every day. You go in the river every single day. And it's so interesting that he said that. He's a Rishama. It means he's a Simon. Simon went in the river every day, according to, he did. He wanted to, and he would power up like Voltron. What do you call it? Like,
Yeah,
and when he came out of the river, the woman touched the hem of Jesus's garment, right? Where was he at? He was near the river. He always was near the river. If you look at Jesus, I'm near Capernaum. I'm near this river. Everywhere he was at was always getting baptized, going in the river to wash off the ignorance. So when she touched the hem of his garment, I'm not saying this is speculation, but it was wet probably. She touched it. He felt virtue leave his body, and she was healed because he was so alive with the great life. And I think that we could all do that. I mean, but I think Simon was very special. Jesus, whatever you want to call him. I think he was extremely special. I think John cried out in the wilderness. And I think that the great life sent him, and he is the one that was sent. And he descended in Capernaum, like Marcion said, and he had nothing but love and goodness for everyone. That's the thing. And they didn't want love and goodness when you want power and control. They throw that out the damn window. And so whatever people think of me, I'm not the greatest person, but I'm really trying my best to find out what the truth is. And love is the number one issue. I mean, I try to teach without it, like Paul said, or Simon, you can't.
Mm-hmm.
And I love you enough to tell you the truth. That's about it.
There you go. There you go. Oh, there's a saying that's been going on in my head. Better to be hated for who you are than loved for what you are not. So
That's
I
right.
think that's, and I know you've gotten pushback from academia, from religious sources, but I think I know you're on the right track. I'd give my divine spark for it. So I'm very grateful for the work you've done. I don't see any super chats. I don't know. Let's see. I'll just pick this one. Can Ray Miguel recommend books about the Simonians? What would you recommend, Ray? Any good book out there?
Ginza Rabba.
Just read the Ginza Rabba.
It talks about the one who hears. That's Simon. And that's unadulterated. That's not someone's opinion.
Yeah, I would say April DeConnick's The Gnostic New Age has a section on Simon and the Simonians and their satellite, the Borborites and all those Alexandrian. I think Robert Price, The Amazing Colossal Apostle, has a good section on Simon Magus, and of course Paul, and he brings a lot of these theories from the Dutch radicals and all these cats. So that's another good. Lynn Picknett and Clive Prince's When God Had a Wife. Excellent section on Paul, and it's very approachable, non-scholarly. So
about
that one.
How about Jeroen Buckley?
Which about? I think I've read it. Yeah,
well, she's heavy in the Mandians, and she's been bringing them over here, getting citizenship, and she knows her books are excellent. I don't have it in front of me, so I would read. I'm bad with names, but the reason I'm bad with names, I want to explain that to people real quick. My first language is Icelandic. Okay, I have what they call a crossover brain. Means I think in Icelandic and I speak in English.
No.
Okay, so what that does, that limits me. Sometimes it affects me to where I have to think longer for a second how I can put it out because it flows in Icelandic, and in English is a rough kind of language, if you understand. So my brain may say something in Icelandic like, "Oh, that's nice," and it'll come out, "Well, that's okay." You see what I mean?
Yeah. My first language was Portuguese. So, but I mean, I learned English when I was like 2 or 3. But yeah, I can understand. I'm terrible with names too. Or I get that glitch.
Yeah, but she's written a whole bunch of books, Jeroen Buckley, and she is Scandinavian, and so I like her books. And a lot
of
people.
What's her first name?
Jeroen.
Jeroen Buckley.
Yeah, Jeroen Buckley. If you can pull it up if you'd like to on the Mandians. And I have all her books on PDF. Don't tell anybody I downloaded them, but I'm telling everybody you can download them in PDF for free, and you have to pay for anything. I'm cheap. Okay. I mean, I don't buy a lot of books. I download everything from different dumps, they call them, which I shouldn't have said that. Okay. Well, whatever on that one. Dump.
I'm sure many of the listeners do it too. So
yeah, if you log into internet, go to UNC's dump, use the FTP, and you can download any book you want. But the thing is, you can, or any college, they have a lot of dumps of students. What they'll do is they'll copy the books over, so no one has to buy all these damn books. And if you went to college, you know what I mean. And I just download them and read them. And but if you want something good on the Mandaeans and Nazareans, I really think that Simon, the title, I think the titles change because in the Bible, they, when you hear the titles and stuff like Peter, I think Peter is Dosithius. That's another one. I think that Dosithius did deny Simon 3 times because he tried to take over the river movement.
Right.
And I think that the Mandaeans knew this because when I talked to them about it, they did know it. There was a person who came in to try to stop Jesus, and that was Dosithius, but he couldn't. because that's the big fight between them. And he confronted him to his face, which is another thing, strangely, that Paul said he did to Peter. There's a lot of parallels in this thing stuff. If you really read it, Miguel, it's like so many parallels, and you have to break apart the layers and then take the scaffolding out and try to look at it with honest eyes and try to figure it out. But that's all we need to do. I'd love anyone who wants to work with it, do research. I'll give you my email or whatever. You can send it to me, and I'll work back with anybody. I don't care. I just want the truth and the facts.
There you go. Yeah, Ray is very approachable if you have any ideas, questions, or work. And we've only just begun, as Karen Carpenter sang, but we will continue with the Talking Heads theme. Take me to the river, drop me in the water. But we are at the end of this amazing journey. Check out Ray's past one on Simon Magus. I'm sure we'll have many more because we only scratched the surface. Even with this interview, check out his Wisest Serpents Substack. It's really good. Check out his YouTube. He does some good parody videos. Ray likes to have some fun too, because if we can't laugh, then what's the point in doing what we do? So that's it. First, I'll say, Graham, thanks for keeping us company.
Yes, sir. Always a pleasure, and always good to interact with Ray. I learn a lot from him. Thank you, Ray.
Oh, thank you, Graham. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, Ray, really appreciate you coming as always. I'm sure you and I will be talking on the phone and emails as we always do, because these are very exciting times for academia. And like you said, independent scholars that aren't tied to the system are doing great work out there and collecting data. You may not agree with their theses or their lifestyles or anything else, but it's glad they're uncovering what others, places where even angels fear to tread. So, but we are at the end of this. We'll have another show tomorrow. We'll be talking about Mary Magdalene. So come back to Aeon Byte tomorrow for Mary Magdalene, aka Ellen of Tyre. So Ray, again, thanks as always for coming on the show. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate you, Miguel. I thank everyone out there for watching, and have a great day, people.
All right, take care, everybody. Or as I say, write your own gospel, live your own myth. Join the redeemed archon Sabaoth on his fool's journey with the Gnostic Tarot. Learn about the journey of the Gnostic Jesus. Follow Mary Magdalene in her quest for forbidden knowledge. Experience the celestial majesty of Bar Below, the Supreme Mother. Commune with the invisible spirit or the one of the Gnostics. Accompany the Gnostic sage Marcelina as she weaves primordial mysticism. Engage with Marcus the Magician and his coven of Gnostic witches. Experience the fall and liberation of Sophia in the simulation. Also discover the sagas of Abraxas, Simon Magus, Thunder, Valentinus, and more. In the end, see if Sabaoth and Sophia can unite to defeat the Demiurge. The Gnostic Tarot is perfect for divination and gnosis, the knowledge of the heart. Cast out chemical fire upon the world like Jesus in the Gospel of Thomas. Or grasp the mysteries of existence like Mary in the Gnostic Gospels.